Welcome back to Columbus Brick by Brick, the show where we uncover the people, projects, and ideas shaping the future of Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, John Steyer, broker and owner of Steyer Hospitality Co., the premier management company for furnished short and midterm rentals in Columbus, Ohio, helping investors leverage their properties and to maximize cash flow and housing guests for both short and extended furnished stays. Each week, we sit down with local leaders, business owners, and community builders who are driving growth in our city brick by brick. And today, we're diving into a conversation that blends passion, strategy, and the realities of building a career in one of the most competitive sectors of our market, new home sales. I'm joined by Justin Phillips, a standout new home sales specialist with D.R. Horton. Justin has become a familiar and respected name in the Columbus new construction scene. He's known not just for helping families find their place in our growing city, but for the way he's built a powerful network, strengthened his brand through social media, and approached the business with both intention and authenticity. In our conversation, Justin breaks down how he found his way into real estate, the strategies that helped him stand out in a crowded field, and what he's learned from the toughest moments that shaped his career. We'll explore the balance between working within a national builder and staying hyper-local to the community. And we look ahead to the skills and the mindset he believes will define the next decade in real estate. And of course, he shares his advice for anyone hoping to break into new home sales here in Columbus. It's an inspiring, insight-packed discussion that reflects exactly what this show is all about. Real stories from real people helping build the future of our city. So let's jump in. Well, Justin, welcome to Columbus Brick by Brick. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And you and I have come to be friends over the past few months, and I'm excited to learn more about you and your journey and how you got into both new home sales, but I'm really excited also to learn about your knowledge that you've gained in marketing and networking and social media and all that. So if you could start off just by telling us a little bit about your journey, how you ended up across from me here today, that'd be a great start.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I went to Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm.
I actually helped design their meal plan that they still use to this day.
Okay.
Fun fact. And then from there, I worked at the casino nights and weekends, helped pay for college as a table games dealer.
Cool.
I can count cards up to an 8-deck shoe.
Wow.
I don't know if that goes on the resume or not, but
actually, we're pivoting the entire podcast.
We'll do a class.
Casino talk.
All right. So then from there, I worked my first out of college job, professional job, was actually at NetJets, which is Columbus based.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the world's wealthiest elite is who they service.
Okay.
I have all kinds of crazy stories I could tell you from there.
Again, we're pivoting.
And then from there, I actually, a buddy of mine was flying all around the United States, making more money than I was at NetJets, even though I would argue I had a way harder job than he did.
Mm-hmm.
Telling billionaires no is not something they're very used to. No, we can't fly through that hurricane. I'm so sorry. But whatever. And so they was getting people out of timeshares, working 3 days a week, flying into new cities with all your flights, hotel, meals, rental car paid for, and helping them get out of their timeshare contracts.
Oh, a valiant effort.
So don't ever buy a timeshare. There's
not planning on it.
Okay, good. Then from there, COVID hit, and there were no more flying salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really wanted to meet with you if you just got off a plane at that time.
Yeah.
So that whole industry shut down. And then that's when I got into new home sales. Buddy of mine, it's always somebody I knew pretty much, right? It doesn't seem to always go that way. Somebody I knew was doing new home sales, said that industry was crushing it. I need to get over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm originally from Columbus. At that time, I was living in Tucson for the flight job. I could base anywhere. And I flew back to Columbus to start in new home sales.
And now here you are. And how long have you been doing the new home sales?
So since COVID, what was that?
Okay.
When did that
So a few years.
Yeah, a couple years.
A few years. Okay. And that has gone, I will say, I think very well for you. From what I know about you is that you're in the top 1% of home sales reps in the country.
That's correct.
And you're with D.R. Horton. And I would love to hear it from the horse's mouth, but you have achieved that success, I think, partially through the networking and your social media presence and all the connections that you've made. I would love to hear a little bit about the strategy that you have incorporated or used and things you've learned along the way. Just give me the tea.
You want the secret sauce? You want the playbook?
Well, as much as you're willing to share.
All right. I mean, I'll lay it out, but I'd love to pretend there was no strategy and it was all just rainbows, sunshines, and hugs. But yes, there was a little strategy behind that. What I would tell you is my strategy was this. The top 10 to 20% of the realtors typically do 70 to 80% of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I targeted the top percentage of realtors that I could go after. From there, I worked on targeting them digitally so they would at least have an idea of who I was. So adding on Facebook and Instagram, comment, shares, likes, just digital awareness of who is this random stranger that is always commenting on my posts, right? That's enough.
Yeah.
And then from there, it becomes a little bit more dialed in of who are these people? What do they care about? What value can I provide for them?
Yeah.
I'm a big go-giver fan. And so I think or a Zig Ziglar, if you go out and help enough people in this world, you can have anything you want, right? And so most other affiliates come in and they come to the realtors with their hands out. Please, can I have some deals, right? Who do you got for me, John? And I said, I'm absolutely not going to do that. So I'm going to get to know them digitally. I'm targeting performers that actually do business because if not, they won't be able to bring me any business.
Right.
And then from there, I'm working on how can I get in front of them and provide them value.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking pay for their coffee. I'm not going to call and ask you for a coffee, John.
So I have to pay for my own coffee.
No, well, I mean, I might pay for your coffee, but that's not the value add, right? What is it that John cares about? Does he recruit? Does he want cool guests on his podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Does he want to build up his midterm rentals? How can I get in front of John with something he cares about and provide him value? And then from there, I don't really worry about it, but it seems like the business just follows.
Yeah.
And so I wake up every day thinking, how can I get in front of someone who can bring me business
Mm-hmm.
that I can provide value to on something that they actually care about?
Yeah.
And I would say that has been the secret playbook.
And it's not like you invented that. I mean, being a resource to people, it will come back to you.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's not that unheard of.
It's
Nothing
one thing
is
to say it. It's another to do it.
You got it. Now I do pair that with social media, and people think, it's social media because that's what they see, right?
Yeah.
You see my post, you see my tags, and they think that's the magic. It's the posts and the tags. They're missing that. Really, that's the last step.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I added those people. Yes, I like some of their stuff. Then I'll go to events and I will tag so that more people see me.
Uh-huh.
But the magic was in getting to know them, finding out what they care about, and providing them value.
Yeah.
The last step I would say is then you post and do tags of that so that all of the other realtors and top performers and 1%ers go, who is this Justin guy that's helping out John and Kathy Cairo and Rhiannon Ferrari and Julie Wills and
Mm-hmm.
John Harp? When they start seeing you helping other big players, they go, who is this guy and why is Kathy Cairo giving him the time of day, right?
Right.
And so I think that was a small piece, but people seem to latch onto just that piece because that's what they see and think it's everything. And I would say it's really just the sprinkles on the sundae.
The bow on the present.
There you go.
So
sorry, I ranted there for a minute.
No, that's perfect. And my next question was about your social media that you kind of got into it. It's a part of your brand and who you are and your strategy. But I think that it's great to highlight that it is not the be all end all. It's the marketing of what you actually do and provide.
You got it.
Now, here's a question. Like we mentioned, you've been doing this for several years. You've been successful. Did you start right away with this plan in mind, or did you come to the conclusion when you were doing it? Was there a period in which you weren't as successful in this because you hadn't initiated? Talk to me about that.
I would say that this playbook, I've ran a version of it for a long time.
Okay.
And I would say it's always adapting as I grow, right? I mean, you and I were talking earlier about how I'm going to start doing more of the digital and the videos and more of the content machine, right, to get out there. I would say there's always tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew going in, I was running the go-giver strategy,
Okay.
providing value. I leaned into social media early when I was younger, and I saw some of the impact of it even in just like college and some of the opportunities it provided me, right? And so yes and no. Yes, I had an idea that I was going to run this playbook, but of course it's always adapting as I go.
Yeah, totally.
Who knew AI was going to exist? Right now, there's pieces of some of that coming in.
I do want to talk to you about AI. Before we get into that, though, because I always enjoy having those conversations.
Yep.
Was there ever a chapter? Was there a ramp up period? Was there a chapter of your new home sales growth period in which, you know, hey, I know what my plan is, but it's going to take me X effort or time or connections to get there? Or did you feel like when you jumped into it right away, like you hit the ground running?
I think that one of the common mistakes I see is that people think, oh, I need to go really long term and just wait it out, or they need to go really short term and just get a deal today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things I did a little bit differently is at some parts you've got to figure out, how can I get in front of someone and sell a house today, right? 100% commission like everyone else here. Sure. And I think I did a very good mixed strategy.
Yeah.
So like some of my time was spent on, how do I get in front of agents? How do I call people? How do I stop by open houses? How do I find someone that is working with a lead right now that might give Justin Phillips 2 minutes of their day?
Yeah.
But then also some of the long-term stuff was at play. Like, okay, how do I add these people digitally and start liking posts and going to events? And like none of those were I was expecting anything.
You're not closing a deal by liking a Facebook post.
Right. And you're not getting a top performer to pay attention to you overnight. Getting someone's attention that's in the top 10%, everyone wants their attention. And so some of that was year-longs play, right? I mean, I've worked on some of those names for 2 years before they even said, hey, who are you? You know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think going early, no, it didn't happen overnight. But I had a little bit of both in mind right from the jump. What am I going to do today to win a deal? And how am I going to make sure I have the deals I want in 2 years?
It's a two-prong approach.
Yeah.
I like that. And that's grounding, I think. Because realistically, yes, in this industry, you eat what you kill, right? If you're not closing deals this week or next week or a month from now, eventually you just can't be all long-term. But building relationships does take time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even today, right? I think there's waves and ebbs and flows. Sometimes I've got 40 deals in a pipeline and I'm thinking, all right, let's work on the long term. Other times it's like, well, rent's still due me next month, a mortgage or whatever, but it's we got to sell something this month. Well, we're going to put some of this long-term stuff on hold.
Yeah, and being able to balance that and move back and forth is, part of owning a business or operating a sales strategy or a marketing strategy or a networking. So I hear you. Well, let's talk about AI a little bit. I know that you are a big AI user and researcher, and it's a part of how you operate. Tell me about your philosophy around AI and some of the practices you have with it.
What do you mean by philosophy around it? Like,
well, I mean, it's a spectrum, right?
Right.
There's people that are all the way on one end, super scared of AI, or not even believers, or just completely, it's an unknown entity to them. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got people who are, heavily involved, deeply researching, improving every day. Where do you fall on that? And what are some of the ways that you use AI?
Okay. So I was in the generation, I actually grew up playing with sticks and riding my bike outside.
Okay.
And so I was the last generation to do that, right? I mean, maybe some still do it today, but you get what I'm saying. Without all the tech and the phones and the computers. And then right as I was like coming of age, that's when the cell phones in high school and started kind of going everywhere. And so
Completely.
I watched people then say, oh, what are you doing on the internet? And it's not going to do anything and nothing's going to happen with this. And technology doesn't start out perfect, right? It's like people, the first Zune is not where the iPhone is today, right?
Right.
But back then people were going, why would you use this when you can use a CD player? And so I think a lot of that's true with AI is that people go, I put in a prompt, it didn't work. This thing is stupid. It's not going to work. This is hype. You guys are goofy. But remember where the internet started.
Yep.
And now try telling me that you want to run a business without using the internet.
Right.
Good luck.
Right.
And so I think the same thing is true of AI, that the early adapters are going to have the advantage, just like in business. I think you're going to see a lot of the .com bubble happen a little bit, though. I think it's overhyped. I do. And then what's going to happen is it's going to settle. The tech is going to get better. And the key things that are not everything AI, but what it does really well is going to be what performs and takes over the market, just like what happened in the .com era.
Mm-hmm.
And so do I think it's a little overhyped? Yeah, I don't think, I need AI to be in my refrigerator to order my food yet, but maybe right down the road. But on the other end of that spectrum is I think the early adopters are going to have an advantage. I think some of that's going to come down, and then the really good tech as it settles in is going to be the game changer.
All right, quick pause in the conversation. I want to highlight something that fits right into this real estate world that we're always talking about. Steyer Hospitality Co. brings together a full-service furnished rental management company and a real estate brokerage under one roof, so owners, investors, and agents get reliable support from people who know the industry. Everything we do is built on real systems, trained staff, and the same level of oversight that I expect in my brokerage office. That gives owners a consistent process, steady communication, and a guest experience that feels intentional instead of reactive. If you own a property and feel like it could be performing better as a shorter midterm rental, or you're spending too much time handling guests and unit turnovers, that is exactly where we can step in. We manage the entire operation so the property supports your goals rather than adding more stress to your week. And for the agents listening, we are a resource that you can plug directly into your business. If you have clients trying to keep their low interest rate on their current home while moving up, we can model the numbers and outline the strategy and run the property if they choose to convert it into a furnished rental. And if you have clients who need temporary housing during a transition, we can help place them quickly and keep the process smooth for everyone involved. If you want to see what your property could do in the short or midterm space, or you want a management partner you can rely on, head to SteyerHospitalityCo.com, or you can reach out to me directly through the site and we can talk through your goals, run projections, and build a clear plan. Now let's get back to the conversation. How do you use AI both in your business and, in your daily life?
So, and what I'll tell people is just get started. So from a base level, though, I'm using AI across the board, meaning at a high level, I have my AI boardroom built, who has been trained on the books and teaching in classes of the people that I look up to the most, the Alex Hormozis and the Gary V's. And so I'll have my AI boardroom argue with each other to critique an idea, to help me workshop it and see different perspectives on it. That's a lot,
cool,
right? But I'm using it for my health. Mm-hmm. I had a little bit of a health snag. My doctor said I was fine, ran like the basic tests. I put in AI and asked it what to do and kind of what was going on and what it recommended. It told me, go get a $2 million health insurance policy. So I went and got a $2 million health insurance policy, which then, by the way, they ran the free gambit of tests. Mm-hmm. And then some stuff came up on that and took it to my doctor, and he said, let's see you tomorrow. And so quite literally, AI gave me better advice than my licensed medical doctor did.
Wow.
And caught something before he did and told me how to, for free in society, get that paid for and get those tests ran.
That's a pretty cool story.
And so I'm using it for trip planning and relationship and business advice and marketing and video ideas. And, I've used it to reach a resolution, like I said, in relationships.
Yeah.
Across the board, I'm using AI in every aspect of my life because you've always had the entire world's knowledge at your fingertips, mm-hmm. but now you can concisely succinct that knowledge to pull out exactly what you want in a matter of seconds.
Right.
To not use that kind of tool, I think is a little absurd. Mm-hmm. With love.
With love. Or to work on learning how to do that, because everyone's going to, like you said, start somewhere, mm-hmm. but actually doing that is an important thing to do. And, I feel like there are going to be some people that get left behind if they don't jump in with at least one foot, right? Get yourself a little bit acquainted, And I do like the story that you mentioned about you grew up riding your bicycle and playing with sticks, because I remember when we got our first computer. Like I remember it. I can picture it. And that's just a whole different world than we're living in now. Yeah. Well, I like to talk to people about the past and the present, and I also like to talk about the future. And you're someone who is very connected to Columbus real estate. And as we are navigating our ever-changing market, there's always new things that come up, and you are in a unique position in that you are in tune with the builder market and the new home build market. Where do you see that going in Columbus? As far, we have low inventory, historically, it's risen here a little bit, but where do you see new build versus existing homes going forward in our market in the next, say, 5 to 15 years?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. But we have a absolute shortage of inventory in Central Ohio, right? After the 2008 crash, I think we built about 8 million less homes than we needed across the United States. The problem is that despite that shortage, the average home price and interest rates where that sits in terms of affordability is not affordable for the average U.S. worker.
Right.
And so what is it? I think the stats show that in Columbus, Ohio, over 40% of the homes were owned by investors. And so you've got a inventory shortage with a large number of those being investor purchases, and the average affordability the average consumer not really able to afford a home. And so I think you have a lot of things at play there, but I think new builds, and of course I'm very biased, but I think new builds, with where they're sitting now in terms of incentive and financing and options, are going to succeed if they're considering pricing and payment more than existing homes, right? So, for example, if you're buying in a tax-abated neighborhood, which we've got, one of those now and one of those coming, so 3 total, at a 3.99% 30-year fixed interest rate and $10,000 for closing costs given, that buys you more than $100,000 in purchasing power. Meaning a buyer could go get a home on the existing market at $250,000. I don't know if you've seen what's out there at $250,000, but it doesn't look like a brand new build, I'll tell you that. Or go get a brand new home, fully covered under warranty with no closing costs, at the same payment as the $250,000 house. I think that by and large, if most people knew of that opportunity, they would take the new build option.
Right. It can be a great option for someone that's looking to be, in a different situation maybe than you would be buying at that $250,000 mark.
You got it. And so I think affordability is going to be key. I think the NIMBYism, fighting against that, is going to be key as well, because all of these townships and people love that they got in that area, but now they don't want anyone else near them.
Right. A constant struggle almost in any market.
Yep. And so I think the builders that focus on affordability are going to have an advantage. And we see that, by the way. I think we sold 100 homes in the last 90 days in our tax-abated neighborhood.
Wow.
Simply because of the $800 a month savings.
Right. If someone is listening and they're not familiar with what tax abatement is, can you?
Yeah, so that's a 15-year abatement done by the City of Columbus, or we also have one in Bellefontaine, one more working with the City of Columbus, where they do not pay any taxes on the structure, which is most of the cost, for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
And so for 15 years, you would on average save about $500 to $600 a month in payment. And then again, the rate between a 3.99 and a 6.5 is another $400 or $500. So you're talking sometimes $1,000 a payment depending on purchase price.
Right. It's significant for someone that has a budget that they're operating under, and maybe a first-time home buyer, or someone that they're watching their budget.
Right.
That is definitely a huge deal, and abatements. I don't want to get into political.
Oh boy, here we go.
No. We'll move on. But I think abatements are really an important incentive for inventory growth, for development of our city. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are participating in that as well. And that's helpful to people because we have an inventory problem, and building homes is how to solve that problem, or a big piece of that. There's a lot of moving pieces, but it's tough. It's tough, especially when people want to have a nice place to live.
Yep.
They want to have a nice place to live. There's only so much inventory. The low inventory is just going to continue to drive prices, which for people in sales who make a commission off those sales, like, you can be happy about that, but you can also see that, hey, there is a larger issue here and that people need housing.
Right. You're not going to make any commission if no one can afford your products.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So it's kind of it's a give and a take there. Well, you are someone who, I look up to in your ability to network, your ability to market, your ability to connect, and I think that that's so important. In 5, 10, 15 years, do you see yourself still working on that? Do you have somewhere where you might be that you're saying, hey, I'm going to be, connecting billionaires at that point? You already got the NetJets experience. Where do you see all that going for yourself?
Well, if anyone from my company is watching, I plan to work at D.R. Horton until I die. That's my plan. Never leaving. Right now, where do I see? I would say I'm very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
All of life, as I tried to plan it, never really went according to my plan.
Yeah.
Right. I never thought I'd be in real estate. I never thought I'd be getting people out of timeshares. I never thought I'd be any of the places I landed.
Right.
And so I would tell you, I'm very flexible in the journey or the path.
Sure.
If I could wave a magic wand, and what would my life look like,
mm-hmm.
or what would that be? I would probably be training people on some version of sales, marketing, lead gen, AI, right? The things that I would argue I'm in the top of my craft for. And then from there, I love getting people into homes, but I would say I'm more passionate about helping people grow their book of business.
Yeah.
Right. And so some version of helping people grow their book of business through sales, marketing, lead gen, AI, that I'd be happy as a pig in mud, as Glenda Baker likes to say.
Well, I would
pig in a puddle.
I would love to learn a little bit more about that if I can. Because you mentioned multiple things, and they all are a part of operating a successful business. Sales, marketing, AI. Which of those draws you the most? And what are some strategies that you think can be implemented to help just your average realtor or small business owner in those areas?
So I know that AI is coming, as I like to say, and you've kind of heard my thoughts on the path there. And so I would say, not like I'm super passionate about learning the tech side and how to build out a GPT and build out an algorithm and use the tools, but I know that I have to.
Yeah.
And so since I'm one of the early adopters, naturally I'm very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that's like my die-hard passion. It's just something I know is coming, so I refuse. Right.
Yeah.
I refuse to not be.
You don't have to love every aspect
on the forefront.
Yeah.
I love what it can do for people, but I don't like the actual building of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sales and marketing. I think marketing probably has my passion the most. I'm good at sales, but I'm better at generating more leads, which in turn leads to more sales because of the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And so, dressing up as Mrs. Doubtfire and dancing around with a broom, that brings me lots of joy.
Help me, because I must have missed a reference here. Did you do that?
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh, boy, have I got a treat for you. Let me tell you.
When did you do that? First of all, because we need to take a sidebar here. And where can we see that?
It's right on my Instagram. Okay. It's up there. I've got several Mrs. Doubtfire skits.
Okay, well, I look forward to enjoying those. Let's talk about marketing.
Yeah.
You, I think, have had a lot of success in helping others with their marketing, and you have, I think, been successful in your own. What are some strategies that you implement in that?
Yeah, I think people miss that nobody wants to watch your ad. Mm-hmm. Nobody says, I'm going to go on Facebook, and boy, I hope I see an advertisement to buy or sell something. Mm-hmm. right? But people want to be entertained.
Mhm.
People want to, and in today's day and world, you've got 3 seconds to catch their attention
Yep.
is the stats. And so like thinking about people, I think people scroll now 3 football fields a day or something like that.
I have not heard that.
With you actually just scroll that much. And so I've got 1 or 2 seconds to catch your attention, to create enough curiosity so that you pay attention to what I'm doing. And my goal is to entertain you and just have you know that I do whatever I want you to do, which is X, right? I'm not like dancing around Mrs. Doubtfire. Like my boss, I'm sure, has said, Justin, what does this have to do with new builds, right? Like what are you doing? And I'm like, just trust me, listen, because, but the end goal is that I got your attention.
Mm-hmm.
I created curiosity. You enjoyed watching it. And therefore like and trust and connect with me a little bit, right? You knew me digitally before you knew me in person.
Yep.
In fact, we reached out because we were seeing each other digitally. I think I reached out to you.
Yep.
And so we built a pseudo relationship digital that turned into, and here we are at your podcast, right?
Right. Totally.
And so what I would tell people is stop focusing on how can I sell and how can I get a result, right? The go-giver strategy.
Yeah.
I'm just applying it digitally.
Yeah.
What can I do to get your attention that's engaging, that you enjoy, maybe provide you some value, and then worry about the rest later. The sales will follow, as I like to say.
Totally. And that's the strategy you've implemented. Have you helped others with that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. So well, I don't want to play too much in my ego here, but
that's why you're here.
Okay. You'll hear people say they're using Justin Phillips's playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows I should have actually published it as a playbook, but
like TM.
But there's lots of people I've heard like, oh, they're using Justin's playbook,
Mm-hmm.
and so and some of those people we've directly helped and sat down and talked through with it, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I know that it works because I've seen it work time and time again. Not only did it work for me, but it's also working for others. So much to the point that people are calling it a playbook that I built.
Yeah. Are you willing to share like a snippet of what that playbook looks like?
Yeah. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Right. It's not rocket science. It's providing value, leveraging the digital, connecting with people on something that they care about, using the tags so that, right, if let's say I tag you on a post, instead of just my 500 to 5,000 friends seeing it, all of your 500 to 5,000 friends seeing it. And so if I'm out providing value, reaching out to people digitally, using tags to expand my reach, now when I'm on average seeing 100,000 users checking out my content a month.
That's so cool.
And that comes from just that playbook right there.
So one thing I like to ask my guests about where they see themselves in the future, and we kind of talked about that. You've got a lot of moving pieces, and you're doing so well, is the legacy that they're hoping to leave in our real estate market, whether that be with sales or their business or with the people that they've worked with and they've touched. Do you have an idea of what you would like your legacy to be here if someone were to look back in 50 years and say, oh, Justin, he was X, Y, or Z? What does that look like for you?
Oh, I love legacy questions. So I don't plan on having kids.
Okay.
And so one of the things for me is, what legacy am I going to leave behind?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I would say it's a big driving factor.
Yeah.
Because since I don't plan on leaving children, it's not like, the great grandkids years are going to be talking about Daddy Steyer, right? Or whatever it might be.
Sure.
And so for me, it's how can I positively impact those around me, provide them value, and be memorable. I would say it's a very basic version of what matters, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be here forever. I'm infinitesimal in the grand scheme of time, right? And so it's just, what did I do while I was here?
Mm-hmm.
Did it matter to those around me while I was here?
Yeah.
Right. Kind of like the starfish story. I don't know if you ever heard that.
No, please share.
Oh gosh. Okay. So there's a boy on the beach, and off in the distance he sees this figure like twirling around on the beach. And as he gets closer, he sees that they've got starfish in their hands and they're throwing them back in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And finally he walks up and says, well, what are you doing? There's thousands and thousands of starfish along the sea. You couldn't possibly save them all. More washing up every minute. Like, why are you doing this? And they said, well, I can't save them all, but it matters to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so,
Right.
if you look at the grand scheme of life, I couldn't possibly go out and change the world. Everyone thinks that when they're younger, but that's very hard. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But can I make a difference to those around me? And it mattered to this one.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. And you're right. I mean, every individual is of value, and helping just one person matters.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I had heard that story, but I didn't know it as the starfish story. So,
All right.
Kudos to me. Well, another thing I like to ask everybody is if you were going to give someone advice that was just starting out, whether that be in new home sales or just real estate in general, what's one piece of advice you would say to someone who's getting started?
I think one of the biggest lessons I learned is that, like, kind of like what I was saying earlier, nobody wants your advertisement, right? And nobody also doesn't want an authentic version of you. I think people think they need to be this corporate, perfect figure showing up digitally, but like, kind of like what I was saying earlier, like nobody wants your advertisement, right? In the same way, nobody wants an inauthentic version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people see past that. You're not nearly as good at faking that you're some corporate perfect figure that is very professional. Like, lean into who you are, and people will know, like, and trust you and want to work with you. If you're trying to be someone you're not,
Totally.
I think most people sniff that out.
Right.
Right. It's like the old the old Dr. Seuss quote. Do you know the one, like the be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind won't matter or don't matter, and those who matter won't mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I know it's very Dr. Seuss, but I think in a lot of ways it's true, right? Just be who it is that you are and lean into that,
Mm-hmm.
and your people will find you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was probably one of the biggest unlocks for me is, I'm a little zesty and I'm a little out there and I'm a little spicy. Maybe not, certainly not the norm. And when I started being okay with that and leaning into that, it was a game changer for me in my career.
You're being your unique you.
You got it.
Well, that's great. I think that's great advice, and hard, especially as you're getting started to know or to lean into. But once it is an unlocking thing, like, okay, the right people will respond to me, for me, as me.
Yep.
Love it. Well, we'll finish up with this. If you could send a letter back to yourself 5 years ago, when you're just getting started in this phase of your business, what would you tell yourself that would maybe make your life a little easier than the journey you took?
Yeah, I would say, Justin, buy Bitcoin now. Oh, no. I don't know. I think that the journey is the spice of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I had it a little rougher when I was younger, and I think if I didn't have that path that I took, I wouldn't have learned the things that I did, and I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to lean, not that it's fun in the moment, of course, right?
Right.
Struggle or any of that, but like,
Yeah.
I try to lean into it as much as I can, and just, it's either a blessing or a lesson. So what am I going to learn?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think those lessons along the way have made me who I am. And so I'm not really mad about any part of that path. And I don't know that I would change anything, because then I wouldn't have learned the thing that I needed to learn.
Totally. I love that.
Maybe that's cliche.
No, I think it's great. And, we are who we are because of the journey that we took. And, there's total value in that. So I think that's a great answer. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being on. This was I had fun. And
You say that to everyone.
well, I don't always mean it. How about that?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
If he didn't have fun, he wouldn't tell us all, okay? He would
No,
say it
I
was so
didn't-
wonderful. It was
This-
great to see.
This was wonderful. This was great.
Uh-huh.
But our listeners, where can they find you if they're looking to learn more about you or learn about new home sales or anything?
Yeah, I mean, they could find my face on like a hot air balloon.
Okay.
They could find me at old lady bars as Mrs. Doubtfire. No, or they could find me on like Instagram, Facebook, or over there.
Social media.
Right.
We talked
Shocker.
about it. Yeah.
Shocker.
Right. Surprising.
Smoke signals work well. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Just a little bit of the blank. Awesome. Well, thank you again. This was really fun. I really appreciate you being on.
Well, I appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks. That wraps up another episode of Columbus Brick by Brick, where we uncover the people, projects, and ideas shaping the future of our city. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing their insights and contributing to the ongoing story of Columbus. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with someone who'd love learning more about our community. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Columbus Brick by Brick, and visit us anytime at columbusbrickbybrick.com for more episodes and updates. This is Columbus Brick by Brick, where every brick has a story, and we're here to tell it. See you next time.